Okay, so now it's time to look at the costumes, differences and similarities of Russian versus Ukrainian. Whenever you choose a dance, it's also important to understand what music and what costume to choose, especially now. So first, let's look at the Russian side. So this long dress is like a sarafan and is worn by ladies that do a slow dance. Usually there is at least 8, can be 12, can be even more, maybe 16 dancers that wear these. And they also have like a fluffy petticoat underneath to make the dress stay in the same place. I have that nice A-line. When they do this dance, they usually have maybe ballet slippers on, something without heels. And this is the one where they kind of float. They kind of walk around on their tippy toes and float all around, so it looks like swans swimming instead of walking, and that's really cool. But this is usually worn for slow dances, okay? Faster dances need shorter dresses so they can show off the feet. So this particular example has 2 parts to it. First part is the blouse. Usually it's white and it has some decorations. The sleeves are a little bit fluffy. And then it goes on first, and then the sarafan dress goes over it. Sarafan dress is like a summer dress. It really just has 2 straps a lot of times, and then you have some intricate decorations at the top, and then several lines of decorations around the bottom. Sometimes there is also a vertical line here, just like you saw on the other dress. The Russian dresses need to have at least a circle of fabric for the skirt, because it flies really beautifully when girls do lots of pirouettes, spins, chaîné turns, and it looks really, really nice. Also, they can do all kinds of high kicks with their feet, and that allows for the movement to happen. So this is one example what it might look like. And then, Diana, can I have you come in for a minute so I can show another variation of what a Russian dress might look like? So I have Diana here. She's wearing another Russian dress. This one has everything built in together for simplicity and for a quick costume change. So the sleeves or the blouse is already sewn together with the dress. You can still see the vertical line and lots of decoration here at the bottom. Also, the nice thing about it is it has a petticoat that's already sewn in. This helps the dress to kind of stay out a little bit, have that A-line again, and have a little spin. Whoop. There, right? It looks nice. So another thing that's really traditional and recognizable for Russian dancers is to have this headpiece. It's called kokoshnik. And they come in all various colors. They're actually available online for purchase. I've seen them on like eBay, Amazon, you can look for them if you're interested. Or you can, if you want to be creative, you can create one, but it'll take a little cardboard and some fabric and some sparkle. There is not necessarily a set way of how they're supposed to be, but you can use your creativity and imagination. But essentially it's a headband, so this part will sit on top of your head. So let's see if I can try it, Diana. Just like this. And you see these decorations is right on her forehead, then turn around. There is a ribbon here. We're going to use the ribbon to tie, to keep the kokoshnik in place. A lot of times it'll also go under her hair and then over her hair. There will be a little bow. We can use this bow, fluff it in out, and then we kind of call that the ears. Of course, it's not the ears, but we can use those to kind of finish the look and have some pins and just pin up those ears or the bows to the hair on both sides. I don't think I have another pin right now, but you get the idea. Also, it's really important to pin the whole thing. So there will be lots and lots of pins here because girls will do lots of turns, pirouettes, and we have to make sure that it stays in place. Do you like it? Feel like a princess? Okay, and so here it is. That's the Russian look. Now, to go with that, what would the boys wear? The boys will usually have a kosovorotka, or this is like a blouse, right? A shirt. It can be made out of cotton, but it can be made out of like shiny fabric. This one is actually made to match with the dress that Diana is wearing. A special thing about this one is the closure in the front part of the shirt. It doesn't stay in the center. It kind of flaps over to the side. So this is kind of unusual, but very recognizable for specifically Russian dances. Okay, and then we just have a few buttons here. To go with the shirt, traditionally, Russian dancers will have black slacks, pants. They're not normally super wide, just like any black pants. It's nice to have elastic so it can be kind of quickly adjustable, and they're pretty narrow. Then you can have like a little rope or a sash that will kind of tie around here. The shirt will not be tucked in, it will be out, and then you will have like a sash or a little rope that goes around that. So they're the main pieces. And then for footwear, the boys will oftentimes have the black boots. Believe it or not, this is not street boots. No, those are actually dance shoes. So they're made for dancers. Of course, this had been worn for many performances already. But yes, those are dance shoes. They might be kind of hard to find. You might have to special order them if you're really interested. But whenever I have my students perform this style of dance, I just have them wear the black jazz shoes and we're fine. It's all good. Okay, so, and then if sometimes this might be too expensive or you can't find the right number or color, another option is to have a headband that is more simple and easy to sew. If anybody knows how to use a sewing machine, like sometimes parents know how to do basic things, they can create this really easily. It's just a headband, and then in the back, there is a little bit of elastic for stretch, for fitting, and then we kind of like to add the ribbon here so we can create those little ears, tie the bow again. So let's see if I can actually do it. I'm gonna go ahead and tie my hair back with the elastic so you can kind of see a different option. It doesn't have to be so fancy and complicated. It can be simple as well. Okay, just kind of goes around. And then we do the same thing in the back with the ribbons tying the bow. Okay, well, you get the idea, yes? So I talked about the boys. The boys wear the black boots. The girls usually, like I said, if they do a slow dance, the floating one with those long dresses, then usually they just have like ballet slippers on, something really soft, so they can just kind of like tippy-toe and move like this, right? It's really, really cool to watch. But if we're doing a fast dance and we have a shorter dress on, we're showing off all that intricate footwork. So we have to have some character shoes. Okay, easy to find, they're always available. Usually we use them either in black or red or nude. That goes with a lot of different colors, and yes, we can make sound with those feet. These are really cool props. These are called lapti. Lapti are actually shoes. They're really old, and they're made out of wood. We don't actually wear them for dancing, but we have one silly dance where a boy kind of offers these shoes to the girl, and she's like, "What? I don't want to wear them." And we still put them on, and we're like struggle dancing, like, we can't do this. And we take them off, and then we just take off and do a really fun dance. But it's kind of a fun thing to show off because it is a traditional piece, and that's a way for the audience to learn about it through dance. finally, last but not least for this side is this triangular instrument with 3 strings on. It's called the balalaika. We also don't use it for music as dancers, but we do use it for a silly dance where dancers kind of try to share it and they fight over it, and then there's a guy involved. So a lot of the dances that we do, they have humor in them, lots of fun energy, and they're memorable with these elements. So, balalaika. Here we go. All right. Okay, let's talk about Ukrainian outfit. Several pieces for a girl's outfit. The first piece is a skirt. This skirt I like to call a pencil skirt because it's a lot more narrow than the skirt for a Russian dance, okay, or the dress, okay? We go from a circle to kind of straight down. It does have a few pieces. We have this traditional kind of fabric in the back, something like woven, and then sort of like an apron looking thing with flowers at the bottom, and then underneath there's always like a white skirt for modesty, and there's no slits in the white skirt. So this kind of, it's not allowing as much movement. So a lot of movements in Ukrainian dance will be smaller and everything kind of stays under rather than like high kicks and things like that, okay? To go with this skirt, and by the way, we also sew it all together just to make it easy to change into, but they can also come all separately, and you have just like lots of layers on. But this kind of makes sense whenever you have to do quick costume changes. On top, there is a blouse. You can kind of see I'm wearing almost a traditional blouse. I just found it randomly in the store, but it's very similar to what folk blouses look like. So you can see the blouse has kind of like bell sleeves. It's nice and fluffy as well. And it's usually pretty wide, so it can be easily adjustable to different sizes. And if it's, for example, too big for somebody, you kind of just overlap and fold it in the back, and then it's nice and straight in the front. The embroidery traditionally has 2 colors for Ukrainian outfits. It's black and red. As you can see on this shirt, it actually comes from Ukraine, so this is authentic. And sometimes there's little tassels that match the colors. But there are many different patterns of how to sew it, and different patterns can kind of go back to certain areas of Ukraine and different towns, and they can kind of tell a story. All right, so here's the blouse and here's the vest. Let's put it back on. Get the arms through. Lots of pieces, but you have to keep in mind that in Ukraine it's cold in the winter and in the fall. So lots of layers. For this costume, it makes sense. Okay, now these are some traditional costumes, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get access to these traditional costumes. So keep in mind that these blouses with embroidery have been in for a few years, so I kind of just randomly find them in stores here and there, and they might be easier to find that way. I found this one. This is actually from a Ukrainian store, but it's not embroidered. This is print, okay? It might be less expensive this way. You kind of have to just look around, and then anytime I see flowers like this comes from a dollar store, okay? I just grab them because I know I can use them. This can be a cheaper version, especially if you need a lot. This is what a traditional headpiece for Ukraine looks like. This is the real thing, has lots and lots of flowers on it. Definitely, you can see the difference between that and what Diana wore earlier, the kokoshnik, right? That is definitely Russian and Russian only. This is definitely Ukrainian, Ukrainian only. So it has lots of flowers on the back. Usually there is a little comb that helps to keep it in place. And of course, there's 1,000 pins that go all around to keep it all stable. And with elastic for adjustable sizing, and of course, lots of ribbons. They can be in all different colors. And there we go. There's the Ukrainian piece. Now for the boys, the blouse might look similar, or the shirt might look similar to the girls. Usually it's white. Usually the embroidery is black and red. This is like the traditional thing. To go with the blouse or the shirt, there is some wide pants. Now when you see these, you might think of Russian dancers, but this is very, very Ukrainian. Okay, so they have these harem pants. I actually have a model that has these pants on. Come over here, Julian. Okay, so it looks like this. Of course, sometimes you don't have access to all these beautiful costumes. If you're lucky, somebody can sew them for you. But if not, you can kind of stay on the simple side. Like for Julian, I was able to sew these pants by myself. I found a pattern on YouTube and just kind of followed it. So this is something you can do. These pants are really versatile. I use them for the nutcracker, for the Ukrainian dances, and also sometimes for Middle Eastern dances. And they're called the harem pants. There's another way for them, another name for them. That you can find it online if you'd like to buy it. And if you don't have access to like a really fancy shirt, or you can't find one with embroidery, then doing a t-shirt is okay too. You can have a t-shirt. I usually have the boys tuck them in though. So I'd have them tuck them in. I could just like let it out, kind of like mine a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes just one more piece that you need, and this is also super traditional for many folk dances across the world, I think, is for boys to have a sash. Julian, come closer. Okay, there we go. So let's see if we can try this sash on. Hold it. And then usually we tie it, hold this part, we just tie it to the side. You may have seen the Fiddler on the Roof dancers. They all have these similar looks. And then at the end, what you want to do is kind of spread it out so you have a nice line. Kind of spread it out and smoothen out the look. And again, if you're doing a Russian dance, you might have something similar, but you have more narrow pants, and your shirt might be out, and you have your sash. If you're doing Ukrainian dance, then your shirt will be tucked in. And then you have shirt, sash, pants. All right, thank you, Julian. And then, so for Ukrainian dances, I don't know why, but traditionally we have red shoes. I think red goes with beauty, the color of beauty. And so the character shoes oftentimes are just painted red for that purpose. Also, the boots that I showed you earlier for the Russian dancers, they can be in black or they can be in red. For Ukrainian, definitely red. That's the color to go with. And again, these are dance boots, so they're really, really comfortable to dance in. All right, one more piece that I'm going to show you is a tray. And this, how do I call it? Rushnik. Rushnik is just like something that you would, also it has embroidery, as you can see, the red and black, or a print of it, and then you would put it underneath the bread. On top you would have a bread, and sometimes the dancers will come out and kind of like bow with this bread, and you're like, what are you doing? Well, that's also an old tradition where the guests, for example, are being welcomed to the house, and here's my bread and salt, right? If you have bread and salt, oh, that means you're doing okay. So it's just a tradition that shows that you're welcoming, and oftentimes it can start like a Hopak dance, or at the end of the Hopak, somebody will come out and go, you know. So another kind of cool prop that can be used for the Ukrainian dances. And so these are the costumes that you will see in traditional folk dances. The Russian on this side, the Ukrainian on this side. It's good to know the difference, especially now. And remember, You can always find less expensive ways to substitute the originals and be creative. That's okay. Have fun!